So we've discussed the Oceanic and the Atlantic. It's now time to move on to the third ship in the Oceanic class. Today we're going to discuss the career of the steamship Baltic. The steamship Baltic was nearly identical to her two older sisters, the Atlantic and the Oceanic, and as such, visually she was nearly identical. Built by Harland and Wolff, she was launched in March of 1871 and finished in September of that year. Her maiden voyage would depart from Liverpool to Queenstown and then New York on September 14th, 1871, marking the first voyage for this vessel. Her maiden voyage itself was relatively uneventful, however, on her return trip from New York to Liverpool, she ran into some issues, running aground at the mouth of the River Mersey, specifically in an area known as the Jordan Flats. Her passengers were all evacuated successfully, and the vessel would be refloated, get some minor repairs, and be put basically right back into service. The following year, on November 20th, 1872, the Baltic would rescue the crew of the Assyria, which had ended up caught in a storm. The following year, in 1873, the Baltic would capture the Blue Ribbon, making her the fastest liner on the North Atlantic, the first White Star liner to hold that title. Her Blue Ribbon winning crossing crossed in only 7 days and 20 hours. On November 19th, 1875, the Baltic would rescue the crew of yet another ship, the full-rigged sailing ship the Oriental, which had become waterlogged. But her career as a hero ship rescuing other vessels that were in distress would kind of be flipped on its head when in 1880 she was involved in a collision. On August 17th, 1880, the steamship Longford would collide with the Baltic on the River Mersey and sink. Still, the Baltic would continue service with the White Star Line up until 1888. However, there were a few little interruptions when she would be chartered out to the Inman Line in the mid-1880s for a few one-off voyages. By 1888, however, the Baltic was getting old and newer White Star Line ships were coming in to take her place, so she was sold off to the Holland America Line. The Holland America Line renamed her the Veendam and just 2 years later would bring her in for re-engining in 1890. And just 8 years later, in 1898, while serving as the Veendam, the Baltic would strike an underwater shipwreck and sink, with all aboard surviving the loss of the vessel. That would end the career of the Baltic, a ship that had a relatively long and storied career, rescuing many other vessels in distress. Still, she was one of 6 Oceanic-class liners, and if you'd like to learn about the story of some of those liners, I'll leave a link up here to a playlist I have all about the Oceanic class, where I have individual videos on each ship in the class, and a video sort of going over the general statistics of the class as a whole, and what really set them apart from other ships at the time. And if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Barbette and Binnacle, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.